All right, what is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video. So as you can probably see from the channel as of late, we are kind of switching from the free agency videos and kind of trying to move over onto the draft. That doesn't mean that free agency videos are completely done. We're still going to make some content related to that, of course. There's always some stuff to talk about when it comes to free agency and pieces to add, so you guys won't want to miss that. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel. But with the draft coming up, we're now in April, so just a couple of weeks away. It's the end of this month. So we're going to be making a lot of draft content. And with this one, we're going to be doing a the mock. So if you checked out my last video, that was my first mock draft without trades. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check that one out after you watch this video. But in this one and a new series I want to bring up is when we look at other mock drafts that people have made for the New England Patriots. Look at their selections, and I kind of give my personal thoughts on the picks, if I like them, I don't like them, and kind of give some perspective on that. I think this will be a fun video, something that I think could be a really good series leading up to the draft. But of course, if you guys do want to see more videos like this, show it some love. That is the best way to show me that you want to see more videos like this, is to like the video, comment in the comment section below. The better these videos do, the more I know you guys want to see them. Obviously, if they don't do too well, I'm like, they probably don't want to see them. Let's not make those. So if you love it, show some love. So let's hop on right over into this mock. So with the first one, obviously we scroll up here, you can see that this is Patriots Wire. It's going to be the first one. We're not, selecting anyone specific. It's all at random. Patriots Wire is just the first one that came up, and I do like Patriots Wire, so why not? So here, the caption obviously says Patriots 7-round mock draft, and it says Bill Belichick makes 2 picks in round 1. So obviously that tells me that there is some type of trade. So let's hop in. So double trade, he says, in the first round, 20th overall. So clearly there's trades, and what this does tell me is that the Patriots traded down. So clearly they're not selecting a quarterback, or at least one of the top 5 quarterbacks here. So I don't know totally how I feel about that, but we'll just have to see. So first round, they start in pick 20, so they trade down 5 spots. They pick Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. I like Kadarius Toney. I'm guessing that all of the top 3 wide receivers, Waddle, Chase, and God, why is the other one escaping me right now? But the top 3 wide receivers obviously got taken off of the board. I wouldn't put Kadarius Toney as my 4th best wide receiver, but again, the Patriots traded down 5 spots. I'm sure the top 3 receivers got taken pretty early. I'm not huge on taking Kadarius Toney in the first round. I think this is a pretty good wide receiver draft class, and I think that you could get a guy, in the second, maybe 3rd round, and a quality guy. So I don't love the pick of Kadarius Toney. He said with none of the top 4 quarterbacks on the board, I would say 5, but I mean, it's just my opinion. He said the New England Patriots move back twice from 15 to 16, and then from 16 to 20 in the process. And it looks like they pick up some assets there in the process. 5'10" Kadarius Toney is a 195-pound standout. It was a toss-up between him and the Tulsa linebacker Zaven Collins. I'd actually go with Zaven Collins. I would have picked Zaven Collins over Kadarius Toney, actually. But the Patriots still need a young talent at receiver, signing Aguilar to a 2-year deal, Kendrick Bourne. Kadarius Toney's getting some comparisons to T.Y. Hilton. Obviously, T.Y. Hilton is a bit bigger of a receiver. He ran an unofficial 4.39 40-yard dash, so he would bring some speed. I just think overall, the Patriots don't develop wide receivers too well. Taking another one in the first, especially because the Patriots don't select receivers in the first. They barely draft receivers high, so I think drafting Kadarius Toney and in the first isn't too likely unless it's one of these top 3 receivers. But let's see what the Patriots get here. The Patriots get 20th overall and 52nd overall from Arizona, and a 2022 third rounder from Arizona, and a 2022 third rounder from Washington. So the Patriots got that 20th pick, a 52nd pick, in this year's draft, and then the next year it looks like they're picking up 2 third-rounders. So not too bad. And then the Patriots, obviously, they just lose 15th overall. So not too bad. I mean, you move down 5 spots and you pick up obviously the 20th pick overall. You get the 52nd pick overall, which I believe is a second-round pick. And then you also are getting a 2022 third-round pick from 2 teams. So you're getting 2 2022 third-round picks. So nice compensation, honestly. But then he has another trade. It looks like the Patriots trade back into the first. And it looks like that is going to be with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. 32nd overall, last pick in the draft. They get Jalen Phillips, edge out of Miami. I actually like this pick. I do like the pick, especially at the last pick. He said, here's the trade-up ITs. The New England packages a pair of second-round picks to get another crack at the first round. So it looks like the Patriots are giving up 2 second rounds to trade back in. He said, did you think this pick would be Kyle Trask? Spoiler alert, that pick is coming. We'll talk about that when it comes. But I don't think any of the quarterbacks left over are worth a first-round pick. I completely agree. If Mac Jones was on the board, I would even say Mac Jones at 20. Even at 15 is worth it. But that's, again, my own opinion. Let's see. But instead, the Patriots get an edge rusher, which I do like. He'd likely be a 3-4 defensive end in the Patriots system. It would be like having Chandler Jones all over again, which I do like. I think if they can get a Chandler Jones-esque guy, that is a big piece I think they could be missing. Imagine the Patriots having Phillips, Judon on the same side of the defense. The only thing that concerns me here, though, is that obviously as a first-round pick, he's a day one starter. You have a lot of guys at edge rusher. You'd have Phillips, Matt Judon, Kyle Van Noy, Hightower. You have Winovich. You have Uche. Like, there's just a lot of guys at the edge position then, which that's kind of my only concern. But Patriots trading up, they would get 32nd overall, and they would lose 46th and 50. So it looks like, yeah, they lose 2 second-round picks, which I believe would take them out of the second round then. We'll see. But is this the next pick? Yeah, it looks like. So it looks like there's a trade, another trade. This is a very heavy trade mock draft. I don't mind it, though, because it's likely going to happen. So in the third round, yeah, Patriots out of the second round there. They don't trade back in. But in the third round, 79th overall, the Patriots grab quarterback out of Florida, Kyle Trask. Let's see what he has to say, but I don't love it. I don't. Again, if it's not one of the top 5 quarterbacks, it's not worth it to me. I mean, it's in the third round, so maybe you're just taking a chance. But in the end, too, just in the third round, like, it still might be slightly high to select a quarterback. I feel like I'd be more comfortable probably like in the 4th round selecting one. But in my mock draft, I got a lot of hate like for not grabbing a quarterback. And that was, again, because the top 5 guys were gone. The top 5 guys were gone by 15. So I don't love Kyle Trask. I don't think that he's going to be a starter in this league. And if he is, I don't see him being an above average guy, average at best. But it's a Trask had a tremendous season in 2021. And it's likely we'll see in part why that came together so nicely. Again, yeah, like he says right here, they had Kyle Pitts, and that's likely to be a top 10 pick at the receiver. He had Kadarius Toney, who's also going in the first round. I mean, we're talking about Mac Jones having all these weapons. I mean, Kyle Trask is a worse version of Mac Jones and still had very good weapons. He's just a much worse version, I would say, of a Mac Jones. Like, what's the point? He's not a mobile guy. When he says he gives him Jacob Eason vibes. Where's Jacob Eason right now in the NFL, right? Jacob Eason hasn't really done anything. I wasn't a big Jacob Eason fan. Jacob Eason is another guy who, let's be honest, he's not a starter in the league. He's a backup, and that's likely what he's going to continue to be. Maybe he'll be a guy that jumps around in the league at some point. But again, if you're going to get a Jacob Eason-esque guy, obviously that's not a starter. That's not your franchise guy. Like, trade your pick. Trade up in the draft, trade for picks next year. If it's not one of these top 5 guys that you know is going to be your franchise guy and get the job done, it's just, what's the point? You know? I just don't see it. I'm not a fan of it, honestly. especially because it is still sort of high in the third round. But that was a trade, and it says here the Patriots, of course, got 79th, and they did lose 96th, 139th, and 177. So they traded a decent amount just to trade up to get Kyle Trask. I'm not a fan of that. So we move on here to the fourth round, pick 120. This is the Patriots pick, it looks like. They didn't trade up. Adarius Washington, safety out of TCU. So off the bat, I don't mind this. I don't mind this because I do like the idea of selecting a safety somewhat high. Let's not go like second round high, but third, fourth, fifth round. I don't mind grabbing another safety just because you look at what the Patriots have right now. They don't really have too much true safeties. They have Adrian Phillips, who plays more as a hybrid, a linebacker inside the box. They have Kyle Duggar, who they drafted last year, which would be a nice complementary piece. Probably, kind of like the next version of a Pat Chung. And then you have Devin McCourty, who is likely going to retire within a year or two. So you need his replacement. And you also still need a Daron Harmon replacement, which you haven't found. So safety does make a ton of sense. But, this is what he had to say. He said he's everything the Patriots want in his safety except for his size, 5'8", 180 pounds. So, yeah, that is scary. He even says that right here. It's a little scary. A small guy. This isn't the guy that you probably want playing man coverage. So definitely not a guy you want covering tight ends. He'd probably be someone that takes over more of a free safety role, kind of sitting back there and reading the quarterback's eyes, playing in their own area, and taking over that Devin McCourty role or a Daron Harmon role. But they said he's a do-it-all safety that has a knack for being around the ball, whether it's in the run defense or coverage. He's an interesting prospect to develop behind Devin McCourty, who is playing at a high level but might eye retirement in the upcoming years. I do agree. I think, within the first few rounds, like second, third, fourth, maybe fifth, there's going to be a good amount of safety. So you can kind of take your pick. But I do like Adarius Washington. Again, I do like the Patriots taking a safety and kind of helping out that position that, let's be honest, does need some help for the future. Maybe not this year, but definitely for the future. But that height is something that I do not love at 5'8". He's going to be a guy that you don't really want going man on man. All right. Let's see. Trade, no pick. So yeah, it looks like the Patriots traded one of their picks. And they're going to pick up some later round picks. So he says again here, the Patriots might keep their eyes on the horizon. We'll explain what gives all these trades into 2022 at the bottom of the mock draft. I don't even have to scroll to the bottom. It's the fact that 10 picks the Patriots currently have. They need to kind of compress that. They only have about 10 roster spots currently left, and that's with like most of this roster being starters, and they got to get that down to 53 in a few months. You want to kind of compress the draft picks into either trading up or get them into the 2022 season, which is in the following draft when, you have more roster spots, maybe some more needs. So, that's my guess on what they're doing. But here it says in this trade, the Patriots are getting Washington's 2022 fourth and 2022 fifth. So the Patriots are compiling picks very nicely for 2022. Which again, I don't mind. That even gives them the ability for next year to like make trades, even if they don't want to draft all these guys next year in 2022, but having the ability to make trades. And this is something that we touched a little bit upon when they traded Marcus Cannon to the Texans, is that they traded for him for a 2022 pick. At least I believe it was Marcus Cannon. It was either Marcus Cannon or Ryan Izzo. Might have been Ryan Izzo, actually. But they traded for a 2022 pick and not 2021 because they have so many draft picks right now, and they know that they just don't need them all right now. They don't, it's too many draft picks right now. So compile that into next year, and actually they can actually get some higher end draft picks because it is a year later. So like what's a 2022 fourth rounder for 2022 could have been like a fifth or sixth rounder for 2021. So, I do like it. And then the Patriots lose 122nd. So not bad. So I believe we went from the fourth and we're hopping now into the sixth round. So that was it for the Patriots in the fourth. They're out of the fifth, and now we're into the sixth round. So clearly this is going to be a smaller draft class for the Patriots, which again makes a ton of sense. So in the sixth round here, 188th overall, I don't believe this is a trade. No, they have him taking Josh. We're not even going to try to pronounce that. Imatora Hebe. I don't know. Wide receiver, Illinois. So another wide receiver here. So it looks like they went, wide receiver, defensive end, quarterback, safety, wide receiver. I don't like that he hasn't taken an offensive lineman. A lot of people got on my butt for my mock draft having a few offensive linemen. I think I took like 2 offensive tackles and a guard, but this is what the Patriots do every year. Look at the history. Every single year, they take multiple offensive linemen at different positions. And the fact that we're in the 6th round and he hasn't even taken one when 2 of our starting tackles are free agents at the end of the season, I don't like that. You're doubling up on wide receiver, both guys likely to be roster locks, especially when, we're already sitting at like what, 5 or 6 roster locks at wide receiver for us. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan. He said, okay, this was just me having too much fun. He said that he's a wild prospect who stands at 6'2", 220 pounds, has a vertical leap of 46.5. That would have been a combine record if he had recorded it there. And he's also a touchdown machine in college. So he sounds more of like a guy who can go up and pinpoint the ball, maybe a 50-50 guy. And a guy who's big in the red zone. Those guys don't really seem to work out too well in New England. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of the pick. So we're still here in the 6th round. He does finally take a running back. The Patriots obviously do need a running back. I would have even thought about taking one earlier, but in the end, you can get very high quality running backs later in the game. So Rakeem Boyd, running back out of Arkansas, he said Boyd isn't the type of running back that most Pats fans are expecting in that New England to pick. He's a bruiser in a similar way to Damian Harris, but the Patriots were reportedly sniffing around Leonard Fournette this offseason during free agency. Maybe they'll keep looking at a big back who can catch the ball in the draft. That's Boyd, who finished his career with 389 carries for 2,179 yards and 13 touchdowns with 52 catches for 358 yards. So I don't hate the pick. But even with Leonard Fournette, I wasn't too high on that just because the Patriots they just have a bunch of power backs. You need more of an elusive, shifty guy. You need that Dion Lewis, Shane Vereen, James White type of guy, not just a bunch of ground and pound running backs. So I don't hate the pick, but I would wish to see more of an elusive guy out of the backfield. But it seems like he can still get production done. In the end, you just want a guy who is going to be a pass catching back for the Patriots, but can also be productive within with running the ball. But it looks like Boyd is more of a pass catching back, which I don't mind. So that's actually it. That's actually it here. No 7th round for the Patriots. So what? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about 5 or 6 players for the Patriots in this year's class, which isn't bad. 10 picks going down to 5 or 6 picks. It's very realistic, very, very realistic. He said, looking into 22, it seems like a small haul for the Patriots in 2021, but they heavily invest in free agency. Exactly. It's also important to note that mid-round picks might have a hard time making a roster as deep as this one. I completely agree. Here's what we got in 2022 without forfeiting any of our own picks. Washington's 3rd, a 4th, and 5th, and Arizona's 3rd. So we picked up a good amount of picks. I like that. We picking up 2 3rds, a 5th, and another 3rd. Wait. Hold up. No, we got a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and then another 3rd. So yeah, I do like that. Some of the picks I do have some question marks on. But this, for the most part, does seem Patriots-esque with the trade. So I do like that. Let me get back on the screen here. So overall, that was me and my first mock draft. Again, Patriots Wires mock the mock. Wasn't a huge fan of this one. I do think that is realistic with all of the trades he made, so I do like that aspect. I do like some of the picks he made. Not a fan of all of them, though. I would have definitely done some things different, though. But these are my thoughts on his mock draft. What were your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.